Who's going to be on the field when Michael Gallup comes back? Who's going to be on the field the most? Jalen Tolbert or James Washington? This is what I do, Foots. This is what I do, sir.
You just come out swinging, man.
I'm going
to say Jalen Tolbert.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a video dropping on a few reasons why, but I'll give a few right now. I just see better ability than James Washington. I watched all his games, all 11 games, and I even went back to his freshman and sophomore year were okay, decent.
Sure.
But then he really took off his junior and his senior year.
Mm-hmm.
A game that comes to mind, the Georgia State game, was just outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to go to the Tennessee game, but the Southern Miss game was outstanding.
Sure.
He has it all in his bag, Voch. Now, somebody came at me on Twitter, well, James Washington in Oklahoma State was really special. And he was.
Sure.
I think the problem and the difference for me is 5'11", 6'3".
Yeah.
That's a big difference at the NFL ranks versus somebody who could play some big slot and somebody who could play on the edge. That's just one of the reasons, Voch. I just like Jalen Tolbert to see a really smooth athlete, and I think that Dak takes to him. So that mixed with James Washington, we don't even know if James Washington is going to start training camp healthy.
I'm not one of these people that's, panicky Pete, I like to look at what I got. I like to evaluate it. I like to take in the whole product, and then I like to make my assessments, man. I don't think we have a problem at wide receiver. I said on the volume yesterday, we doing this on Thursday, on a Wednesday or whatever, but I said on the volume, man, these Cowboy fans that's, reaching out like, hey, yo, can we get Julio Jones? Let me go get one of them cats, man. I'm like, bro, you got two dudes on your team right now that's probably going to do a little better than Julio Jones. Now, Julio Jones is a name. Julio Jones got pedigree, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, All-Pro, all that good stuff. But his skill set ain't the same. It's not what it once was. You don't get those things in new Julio that you used to get in old Julio. But when you watch Jalen Tolbert, when you watch James Washington, now Jalen Tolbert is a rookie. He has to translate into the next level. All right, fine, cool. You can play that role if you want to. But if we're projecting, right, I can project that Jalen Tolbert can do more for you now than Julio Jones can. He's probably going to be a lot more healthy for you. If you look at the numbers, James Washington is a guy that if James Washington and this current shell of Julio Jones that we're getting right now, if they get the same number of targets and catches, they're going to give you the same amount of yards. So the guy that you would be trying to get in Julio Jones, you have in James Washington. So the big fight really is Tolbert and James Washington. And what I think is important is that, we don't want anybody to get hurt, but Gallup being hurt gives you an opportunity to see Tolbert, right? So, conventional wisdom, you would say, okay, well, if both of these players are equal, you have a decision to make. Do you go with the veteran, which should give him the push over, or do you go with the young guy to kind of put him in that fire to begin that process? We have the advantage that we get to play both at the same time. First, we're probably going to put both at slot. We're probably going to put both at, flanker or whatever while CD does his thing. When CD moves around, they're going to move around with him. And we're going to it's going to be a competition of, hey, for these first 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long, we ain't got to rush Gallup back. The schedule ain't too terrible. So let's get Gallup back when he's ready for the playoffs or whatnot, right? It's going to be a fight between Tolbert and James. When Gallup gets back, who gets to stay on the field? Because we can keep all these guys in rotation, but who's going to stay on the field? And just based on the interviews I've been seeing, based on the social media posts, we see Dak on Instagram, CD on one arm, Dalton on that side. We see Sean McKeown on the other side. And who's right up in Dak's hip pocket? You see Jalen Tolbert. When we talk about, Jalen Tolbert's interviews, what do he say, Fliss? He say, hey, yeah, yo, man, I've been talking to Dak. Dak sent me a playbook before we got drafted. He hit me on the phone. We were saying this. Let me get your thoughts on this, Fliss. There was this point, shouts out to Big Sarge. He called in the Will Steele show, or he typed in the Will Steele show. And he was saying that Dak doesn't want a guy that's not going to always practice for him. And he said that, and, people kind of took it as a whatever comment, but I feel like that makes sense because Dak is the big dog now. And Dak has always had dudes in his room that were either above him or on the level of him, whether it be Dez, whether it be Cooper. These guys are gone now. So everybody in that wide receiver room, they're Dak's little homies now, right? So if Dak text Dez Bryant and be like, hey, I need you at the Dak yard at 6 a.m. in the morning. If he texts Julio Jones, say, I need you at the house at 6 in the morning, they may not be there. But CD, Jalen, they Dak's little homies. If Dak say, hey, be here at 6, they gonna be there at 6. I think that there's something to that, and that may be more favorable for Jalen in this fight by time camp is over. What you think about that, Foots?
I think that you're spot on, Voch, and I think another thing is this. Dak would not take, Simi Fajoko's not out there with Dak. Vasher's not out there with Dak. Noah Brown's not out there with Dak. I mean, I'm pretty sure Dak paid for it.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that he also want to do some bonding.
Yep.
I think he just takes to the kid, and I think that it's easy to see why.
Yep.
Baseball player, the tracking ability is real. I'm pretty sure that it's something about when a young athlete comes into the league and he gets with the right player or the right leader.
Sure.
Because I'll say this, everybody wants to say something about Dak. Dak has really reshaped his body again that I've seen. And, I'm real big on that type of stuff. How does he look? Is he healthy? Yeah. He looks very healthy. He looks cut up. And I think that he's on a mission this year. And I think that, like you said, the whole panic at receiver thing, Julio, okay, the Titans have a need a receiver.
Sure.
There's a reason why they moved on.
Sure.
I think that, and I'm sure we can say this for another topic, I think you answer your receiver questions by getting Tony Pollard more involved in the offense. But that's another day. That could be an hour conversation.
There's a whole hour conversation. That's a whole lot of fussing back and forth that we're not going to get to. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's an hour conversation. But, yeah, I think that Dak being the elder statesman for sure, Voch, has a lot to do with, first of all, Jalen being in here, but then him having a chance. Yeah. Because the truth is, James Washington, he's a 4-year vet. He kind of does things the way he does things. Mm-hmm. Jalen Tolbert can still be molded. That's a beautiful thing.
I really like what you said when you said that these young wide receivers, when they come into the league, if they're in the right situation, when they're around the right guys, they can really flourish. Guys that got drafted ahead of him, man. What's his face? Because draft is over, so I don't know nobody but the Cowboy guys now. But like Garrett Wilson's not in the most ideal situation right now. You know what I mean? My man's that got drafted in Washington or whatever, they're not in the best. Dotson. They're not in the best situations right now. You know what I mean? Drake London is just in this wasteland and with the Falcons right now, right? So those are guys that got drafted early. Dak Prescott is, I don't care what nobody say, bro. We can fight all you want to. I think he's a top 3 quarterback, but I'll take top 5, right? Dak is a top 5 guy in this. He's a top dude in this league. If Dak likes you enough to get you the football, he can make your career. He can make you some money. You know what I mean? Like Randall Cobb, he left Green Bay, came to Dallas, he made some money. He went right to Houston and made some money off of Dak's back, right? Cedric Wilson is a guy. Cedric, thank you. Yo, look my money. Cedric Wilson, if Zach Wilson throwing the ball to Cedric, or if Trevor Lawrence, one of these other guys throwing the ball to,
they have the lead.
They're not. Cedric Wilson not making no money with them. Cedric Wilson was a week 1 free agent, week 2, week 3, week 2 free agent because Dak made them that money. If Dak likes you, Jalen Tolbert better wake your ass up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to the Dak yard when he calls you, because all that's gonna do, like, bro, Foster King, let's keep it a buck, man. Let's keep it a buck. We knew that Dalton Schultz was going to be tight end 1. Me and you had this conversation. But we didn't think Dalton Schultz was going to be special. We just thought that Dalton was going to be a guy in his office that does well. But when Dak Prescott is your quarterback and he trusts you and he leans on you and you produce and you can make some money off Dak Prescott. So in my mind, if Jalen Tolbert started, he got a chance. If Jalen Tolbert started and he's in this offense where we have a run game, we have a Tony Pollard, we have a wide receiver 1 and 2 already, people can't tell me that Jalen Tolbert can't get 800 yards this year. You know what I mean?
800 yards, 700 yards. I think he's a better athlete than Cedric Wilson. I think he's a faster player.
Sure.
And so there's times where Cedric Wilson had a really good knack of grass and knowing how to get open, over routes, things like that, Voch, skinny posts. He knew what to do.
Sure.
I think that if Tolbert can't pick up on the offense, and that's all you hear when you hear Tolbert speak, I want to get the offense, I want to learn the playbook. And so, okay, if he can really do that without question,